So did anyone have an exciting couple weeks? It's been a bit.
I feel like there is a pattern in how these episodes work. If the episode starts with Casey going, you know what kind of episode it's gonna be. I have come to the realization. Yeah,
There are some more
I
syllables
noticed it
in that.
happens sometimes. Yeah.
I was just realizing my mic was not working.
Oh.
Oh,
Okay.
I have had things that I want to talk about
well, good.
because I went and I saw a movie 2 days ago
Oh
Was
boy.
it Deadpool and Wolverine?
called Deadpool and Wolverine.
Okay.
And
Now, before you
yeah,
start talking, I'm gonna say I am not going to say much because I don't like Deadpool. This film is not going to be one I like, so I'm just gonna let you have good feels about this because I know you like this fucking movie. I don't even need to hear you tell me, um, but I'm sure you will. So I'm just gonna shut up and let you talk. Go.
Deadpool and Wolverine is the first time that Wolverine gets to wear that yellow suit, that yellow and blue actual comic accurate outfit. And comic accurate is something that they go for a lot. This is a very different movie from Deadpool 1 and 2, because the focus is very much on, you know, Deadpool and Wolverine, of these two characters, of um this this is the most comic book-y movie that we've had in a while, where it feels like a comic book.
Okay.
Like, there's a point where Deadpool pulls a, oh, is that thing from Loki season 1 episode 5? It's the characters that they bring in and the representations of those characters are fantastic. This is kind of what a multiverse movie should be, because this is more than just a Deadpool movie. This is like a send off to all of the like mid 2000s Fox superhero movies. Like Elektra from the Daredevil movie shows up in it.
Oh, but
Wow.
wait. Did they give Jessica Alba an actual role?
Uh-huh.
Wow.
Wesley Snipes shows up as Blade. They they dig deep on this one.
Wow. Okay.
And it is a nice like, it's a nice follow up, because the last time we saw Wolverine was Logan, and that Logan is dead. That Wolverine gone. That's one of the main plot points of the movie. So we gotta go find a different Wolverine.
Wait, say that again. Which Wolverine is dead?
The one from Logan, the one that's been the main character of all the different Fox X-Men movies. He's dead. He dies at the end of Logan.
Oh yeah, I guess he does.
Yeah.
Fair. Okay. All right.
Deadpool beats up guys using his adamantium skeleton because he tries to dig him up, and it's like, yeah, there's no, he's dead, right? And he's dead.
That's delightful.
That's the intro of him beating up people.
It's like an adamantium femur.
Yes. Well, Backstreet Boys plays.
I mean, you
It's
got it.
it's wild. Um,
Which song?
bye bye bye.
Okay, well that's. I'm pretty sure that's NSYNC, but okay.
Whichever one. I don't know. They're all the same to me. It's NSYNC. You're right.
Eh,
I genuinely can't tell the difference between boy bands.
not after this long.
I know that one because I like that song.
But it is it's really good. Uh, the whole theater was laughing at several points just because this felt really well written, and you can tell that like the actors were happy to be there, the cameos were happy to be there, and I'm probably spoiling some of this stuff because it's hard to talk about this without doing that. I highly recommend you go see it. They have they have one of my favorite things that they do with bringing back a character where they show um oh, who's this mysterious cloaked figure in the void, the area at the end of time where all universes go to die, and he's wearing, is that red and blue? That's Chris Evans? Is that Captain America? And then he says, "Flame on." And I was just giddy because him being both Johnny Storm and Captain America um has always been just a fun little joke thing of him being multiple heroes, but this is a very self-aware movie. Um and I like it the most out of the different Deadpool movies. It's got a very different feel to it despite using the same character. And having somebody who can just yell at Wade to shut up, as with Wolverine there, and acting as a strong foil means that Deadpool doesn't become like overwhelming, I guess.
Hmm.
Because then you have like the seriousness and the tragedy and the pain of that Wolverine from a world in which he is regarded as the worst Wolverine of his universe, right? The worst one out of all the Wolverines. It's it's fun. It's just a very fun movie, and I really enjoyed it. And that's probably the most fun I've had with a modern Marvel movie in a long time. We often go on about Marvel movies, right?
Hmm.
And all that stuff. And how like, oh, the future looks grim because I mean,
I mean, I would argue based on what you said that the future doesn't not look grim, because there, from the sounds of it, because I have not seen the movie. Um, Hell, you described it as, I don't believe you used the word homage. I think you said swan song.
it's a send off for a
Yeah,
lot of those things
because now they're all mouse.
because those things are gone, except they're not all gone.
They're kind of gone. Like,
Not
okay, let's
what I'm
let's
refer.
let's Disney have made nods to, like, hey, here's fucking Kelsey Grammer as Beast. Okay, we know it's not the same. It's not the same. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be Disney. It's going to be
Yeah,
different. It's going to have a different feel. It's going to do a different thing. For all intents and purposes, that stuff is gone. It's over.
it's. I would put this in like the same category as like, man, Spider-Man No Way Home sure was great, and it had all those different Spider-Man in it, right?
Hmm.
Um, Using all of that stuff that has happened. It's like that for Deadpool. I wouldn't say this is like, oh man, it's all going to be uphill from here, right?
Hmm.
But it's it's a very good, enjoyable movie. It
Yeah,
felt like it was made for a very specific audience of people who have followed these movies for a very long, long time.
yeah. Like, you know, I can talk shit and I can be the downer that is the reminder of the slow lurching zombification of the genre, but that doesn't take away it being a good movie if it's a good movie. So, you know, like
Yeah.
that is a thing that I have advocated. Like, we got the announcement of we got the announcement of Doomsday, which is the next full Avengers movie, which is Doctor Doom, played by Tony Stark.
So that was something I wanted to pivot into.
Yeah, well, since we're already on the subject of this whole shebang bang, yeah, so that's a thing that's happening, and like, you know, it's just kind of okay. Like, I don't even know. I like they've got the Russo brothers back and all that shit, and that's not as big of a shot in the arm as it might have been before Endgame. But like my one concern at this point is not good they're gonna bring the MCU back or anything like that. It's just I just want a fucking good movie. That's all that matters. I
Yeah.
am like I think most people are checked out on this whole gigantic cinematic universe thing. We just want good fucking movies. And if Deadpool 3 is a good fucking movie that does the things that it's trying to do really well, then fantastic. Please, yes, more. If it was not Deadpool, because I don't like Deadpool. But aside from that, fucking great. That is a good thing. And I'm so glad about that. That it's just a good movie.
It's it it does something like the one thing I really like about the Deadpool movies up to this point is that they care about the source material a lot. Like when Colossus shows up in Deadpool 2, he looks like Colossus actually should. When uh when you have Wolverine show up, he's got the costume. They even have the cowl with the big black things that just shoot off of his head. Like they have the full costume. And it's the first time we've seen the full costume in live action. And that level of care and passion is not something that I have seen in a lot of the recent Marvel movies. So I was very happy about that. And I mean, the story in general and the writing in general, I haven't really gotten too into that in my description here because, I mean, to be honest, the references are the easiest thing to talk about
Hmm.
because this is a very non-serious movie, but there are serious elements to it that can land emotionally depending on how invested you have been in these characters. But I mean, you go to Deadpool movie hoping to have a good time, and I had a good time, and I was happy with the results of it, and that that was good enough for me. Now, this is like this sort of thing where it's I don't think this movie's going to age very well at all.
I mean, reference heavy movies tend not to. Yeah.
Yeah, but in the context of the current, like Deadpool even says, "Oh, good thing we're in the middle of a downswing," and is constantly making fun of the stuff that they've been doing. It's like, okay, enough multiverse stuff. Like this is something that is very effective at comedy because it is in the current context and current time that it's released in. The future direction that they're going, because they're not going with Kang anymore and they're going with Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom, is it's certainly a direction. I don't know how that's going to work out.
I mean, I'm willing to give it a shot, but we'll see.
Because they have a Fantastic Four movie coming out before that Avengers movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that'll be a good litmus test on whether or not it will work.
I mean, reality is they need to pivot. They need to pivot so badly because my personal misgivings about Kang in general aside, they were not going to bring Kang back.
Yeah,
that
yeah, 100%.
that that whole thing was so done, and it. Let's be real, a mega corporation does not turn on a dime. So there was some lag in trying to fix that particular train wreck, but yeah, we're those mixed metaphors. I am sleepy. Yeah. So yeah, now they're doing a very hasty pivot to something else entirely, and they got the big name directors, I guess, and they got their most bankable talent. Who, I'm going to be perfectly honest, I said this when I heard about the news. The one thing that the MCU has failed to capitalize on since, I want to say, Endgame, and it was starting to really stumble when it came to Endgame, is character narratives, character arcs.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them they still managed to do, like Tony Stark meeting his dad again after his dad was dead because time travel bullshit. That was good. Captain America's ending, that was great. Thor, I will die on the hill. That was the worst thing. And
Yes.
What was the other one? There was another one that was terrible, and I forget what it was. That was a thing they were starting to stumble on, and they just have failed at almost every turn on that aspect ever since. And Robert Downey Jr., he basically kickstarted the MCU because he sold his character narrative really, really well. He sold that character as a person, not just by being a very captivating performer, but by being able to sell who the character was and what they were going through.
Yeah.
So, in terms of that, it's actually a pretty good choice of bringing him back because he can sell that, but also because it's Doom. And the one thing that is notable about Doom is that he is a villain literally named Doom that a lot of audiences still kind of root for. So,
Yeah.
Getting someone very charismatic that, an audience resonates with on a very personal level, that's probably a really good thing to have for that character, even if you're doubling up on an actor. And they're probably going to do stuff with that, and it's going to suck, but still.
It's the situation where, when you look at the current state of the MCU, right?
Mm.
We had the Marvels, which was a horrific flop. We had Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which is really good movie, fantastic movie. That's it, though, right? That's like the end of Guardians of the Galaxy as far as we're concerned.
Yeah, pretty much.
Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, which only gets worse the more I remember it exists.
Yeah, it's better just forget that thing ever happened.
You had Black Panther: Wakanda Forever, which nobody talks about anymore.
Well, people talk about it, but not in a good way.
Yeah, it, Thor: Love and Thunder, which is a strange fumble from Taika Waititi after Ragnarok.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, depends on your definition of fumble, I guess. I mean, it was him doing his thing, but at a time that it felt kind of not great to be doing that particular thing. Maybe
it in the context of where Thor was after Endgame, that's not what Thor needed as a
yeah,
character to really shine.
yeah.
Um, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness is one that I have seen very few people say good things about. Um,
Lived and died on MCU bloat, so that was
Spider-Man: No Way Home, that was good. I like that. Eternals,
moving
that's one of
on.
my least favorite movies. Shang-Chi, that was great. That movie was 3 years ago. We've yet to see any larger impact of that movie in anything, which is kind of sad. And then Black Widow, which is the weirdest one because it shouldn't, the character's already gone, right?
The movie's bad.
Yeah. And so, right now,
I'm still mad at watching Black Widow, but
yeah, we're in a state in which it is a they need a pivot. They are, I think the long-term consequences of Deadpool and Wolverine is that they now have a Wolverine that is alive in the MCU that they can use so that they can do X-Men stuff. That's what I think the long-term consequences of Deadpool and Wolverine is going to be. Basically
yeah,
writing themselves out of a hole. Um,
yeah.
because Fantastic Four and X-Men seem to be the way that they are choosing to pivot the MCU.
Well, they killed everyone else,
Yeah,
so like,
exactly.
and like I feel like yeah, they killed everyone else, and the successors never really got a shot.
Yeah.
Like you, there are there is a lot of discourse that is basically everything is putting diversity above character, and I think that's a little unfair. Like, sure, all of the next generation of heroes seem to be girls, which okay, that's a little odd, but not like objectionable. But also like it's not putting diversity above character. It's just not doing character well. Like none of these characters have been sold particularly well as characters. Like fucking Iron Man's successor is like barely more than a cameo in someone else's movie, and that's her introduction. Like, what the fuck? That's no. We needed to actually know this character. Like, if like it's the successor to basically the flagship character of the MCU. He wasn't the flagship character of Marvel. Like that was probably Captain America. Like, let's be real. But like it was the character that kicked everything off, and we've got the next generation of that, and she's barely an afterthought of the entire enterprise, and it feels wrong and weird, and probably deserved a little bit better than that. Instead of is the Disney Plus series even still happening?
I don't know. I I I haven't been following what Disney Plus series are even starting to happen at this point. It's just
Yeah, that's kind of the problem. Like, yeah, Disney kind of fumbled that whole thing. They had a good thing, and then professional pride got in the way, and they nixed the good thing that they had. Like Netflix was doing its side thing, and oh look, it's all these street level heroes that you're probably never going to hear about in the big bombastic like special effects fests of the main MCU, but you still get them, and they're there, and they're kind of part of the setting. And then Disney decided, no, we hate all that shit because we didn't make it directly. So we're going to pretend that never happened. And we're going to do our own spin off shows that are all like lower budget. But we're going to have these low budget shows be mainline important stuff for the MCU. And it may have been a misstep a little bit.
So, looking at it, um, the Disney Plus series coming up. Ironheart is until 2025.
When was Doomsday? That's 2026, right?
It's 2026.
Okay, so they've
20,
they've got some time to maybe do something with that.
and they have a Daredevil coming back in 2025 as well. Uh, they also have coming out this year. The next Marvel thing is Agatha All Along. You know Agatha from
Oh
WandaVision?
God!
Yeah.
Well, that's going to be interesting.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. Don't lie.
It's probably not going to be any good. I mean, I don't even know.
What's that even gonna be?
That's what I mean. I was trying to think of what it could be.
Like, what wasn't she trapped in an existential hell of sitcom land or something with her memory wiped?
Think
According
so.
to Agatha All Along, she escapes with the help of a goth teen.
Raven? I
No,
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 Probably
that would
not.
be odd, but
That would be odd,
mm,
yes.
no. Just this character is Billy Kaplan, who, according to Wikipedia, is a familiar who is a quote unquote gay teen with a dark sense of humor.
All right.
I don't know who Billy Kaplan is. Is that that is a superhero, yeah. From Young Avengers. Okay.
oh wait, oh shit, I know.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Um,
Wiccan is the hero name, I believe.
Hmm.
yeah, um, yeah. You know, it's great representation when they slap the sexuality in the marketing. That's great.
I was
Sorry,
just
the
thinking
Western
that, yeah,
marketing. They will obviously not include that in places like Saudi Arabia and China and stuff like that. Because
yeah, of
that's
course.
always how that goes. Take the black people off the posters. Because we're a progressive company.
Yeah,
Let's do a
so
Mike Wazowski where they cover up their face with something.
yeah, we got Doomsday coming out after the Fantastic Four and Blade, and also uh I mean they did the trailer for the Captain America Brave New World where we're gonna see the Red Hulk because you know John Ross is in there, who's now being played by Indiana Jones.
Oh,
So
I remembered the other thing that was bad about Endgame, and that was Hulk. Just
yes,
oh, I solved my entire character dynamic off screen. By the way, just letting you know. Thought thought that might be important.
it is so frustrating because I really like the Hulk as a character. And the way that he was handled is pretty awful. Like
In his solo stuff, yeah.
I get that you can't make a solo movie of the Hulk, but my goodness, at least give him a bigger actual plot thread that happens on screen because the way that it was handled, um, like I really like the Hulk in Thor Ragnarok, right? Where he actually gets to speak. The Hulk has a character.
Hmm.
It's not just Bruce Banner. And then they erase that immediately after. Oh man, I'm getting frustrated.
Hmm.
I'm getting frustrated again.
Understandably so.
But yeah, no,
Yeah.
Deadpool and Wolverine, I enjoyed that. I like
Yeah.
that. I like the X-Men a lot and getting to see a lot of like I mean they have like a Mad Max style assortment of like raider looking mutants that they come across and like one of them is Toad. Remember Toad from X-Men?
The one who
Oh
learns what
yeah.
happens when a toad gets struck by lightning. Yeah, I remember him. Is he
And
suffering terrible after effects of getting struck by lightning?
I need to watch again to see if there actually is a reference to that because they might have snuck something in there. But I mean, the guy who controls fire, the
Pyro.
what
Yeah.
whatever Pyro, he's in there, right? Like they grabbed everybody. Like they treat all those things as if yeah, they happened and they mattered, even if they weren't necessarily the best. They still happened, and I appreciated that.
Hmm.
Acknowledging the history of um, a lot of the things that have come before and making use out of that stuff instead of just sweeping it under the rug because it reviewed poorly or it did poorly, you know.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Uh, so I really did enjoy Deadpool and Wolverine, and I'm gonna be just thinking about, man, that was such a good movie as Captain America: Brave New World comes out, as Thunderbolts comes out, and hoping that we just get good character-driven movies again.
Yeah. Brave New World is apparently not going great.
I've not been keeping up with any interviews or news about it. Care to enlighten me?
Uh, allegedly, uh, I've forgotten the name of the actor for Falcon America. But allegedly he had a little bit of a meltdown on set because they were filming the movie and he had yet to see a script.
Oh, that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah. So hmm. Allegedly, that is a thing I have heard. I have not checked and researched into that, so that is basically barely more than a. That's not even a rumor. That's a thing I have heard and should probably fact check at the moment. Uh, Discord, go away. Like, why are you hanging out in my main screen? There we go. Uh, I don't know his name, so this is going to be hard to Google. Uh, Feel free to,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just reading up on this. Apparently, Anthony Mackie, who is
thank you.
the person who plays the Falcon, was like, "Oh man, Falcon and the Winter Soldier season 2 is gonna be great," but that didn't happen, and he ended up having to go on his own film without, his co-stars,
Hmm.
which
How, at what point would a movie star get a script? What is the normal handover time? 'Cause I
Well,
don't
it
think it's,
depends on, like, if it's, they're being handpicked for a role for a film. Usually they would be handed the script before they even, like, audition for the role and just like,
far
hey,
far
here's the script for this movie that we want you to star in, is usually how it goes for, you know the ones that they really, really want.
That's what I
Usually
thought.
they start doing cold reads a long time before they even start getting into costume and stuff,
Yeah.
right?
And in
Um,
fairness, they have the costume already. So
yeah.
a lot of the background, like set and design work has already long been finished because it's Captain America and we have that established from Falcon and Winter Soldier, if nothing else. But yeah, it's not it's not ideal. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah, so we will see how that goes. But like I said, I'm gonna just ride the high of I had a fun time with that movie. I really liked that movie. I laughed a lot. It was good with Deadpool and Wolverine. And I mean, hey, in July, Fantastic Four comes out. So
It might be good. Who knows?
we
At
got
least
we
it'll be.
got a year.
yeah. Also, I did try to look up that thing, and that is not a thing I'm going to find in like a minute of googling in the middle of a podcast because all Google wants to throw me is fucking promo material. And
Mm,
thanks Google. You're so
Advertisement.
great nowadays, Google. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Um, anyway, I wanted to get the Marvel stuff out first because Comic-Con happened, we had all that stuff happen, and uh
I don't know if anything else cool came out of Comic Con because I didn't exactly follow it.
I didn't follow it either. I just saw people complaining about Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom. Um, because people don't want like people are big fans of Doctor Doom and who Doctor Doom is, and so they don't want Doctor Doom to just be Tony Stark with a different, paint job.
I mean, in fairness, Robert Downey Jr. is an actor. This is kind of his job.
Yes,
He is able to play
he's
different characters.
he's a very good actor. So it'll just come down to how the performance ends up, I believe.
Yeah, if they tell him to just do Tony Stark, but he is evil, then it's gonna be bad.
Yeah, because
But
all then he has to do is play as Tony Stark.
but if they actually let it be Doctor Doom, that's probably gonna be better. Like I trust him as an actor. I don't trust the people behind him.
Hmm.
The writing and directing. I don't trust them anymore. So
understandably so.
On the topic of watching things, I also saw the season finale of The Boys,
I
season
did as well.
four. I think it ended well. They they're going their own direction. But boy, did this season of The Boys go for that shock value in a very uncomfortable way, like more so than previous seasons.
I don't know
Uh,
how much of that was shock value and how much of it was just they're paralleling real world events way closer than they have in the past.
the the one with Tech Knight's Manor, where what they did to Huey was super uncomfortable.
Yeah, this entire season has been rough to Huey.
Like it was like there have been some really stellar performances out of the season. Um, with Simon Pegg as Huey's dad giving one of the best performances. Uh, but they they uh, they had a weird middle of the season that just wasn't great. But they ended in a good place. I like the finale. Like it
I
sets up everything.
I need to watch The Boys.
You
Hmm.
Because
probably
that
should.
is fucking Eric Kripke, and I didn't know that when I first started hearing about The Boys. That is the guy who started Supernatural and was responsible for the actual story of Supernatural, which was the first 5 seasons.
Jensen
And
Ackles in season 3.
yeah, And my understanding is he is doing what he did for Supernatural, which is he had an idea for a story, and he had an idea for a beginning, middle, and end, and you make adjustments for that based on whether the story is actually going to be like picked up and it's going to get more seasons and all that stuff. But he had an idea for how it was going to go, and it is 5 seasons.
Yes.
So
This is everything is set up by the end of season 4 for them to finish it next season.
yeah,
Like
I'm curious if they'll be able to. That feels like it would be really rushed. Like things are happening.
a lot happened in this one season already.
True.
And I don't think they have to go much further. They also are doing a prequel to the series as well with Soldier Boy,
Jensen
which is
Ackles
interesting.
deserves work. He's
He does a phenomenal job as that character.
He really does. I hate that I probably won't care when it comes out. I don't think I'll probably even watch it because I just don't like prequels. But he did a great job as Soldier Boy.
Yeah, he has so much charisma,
yeah.
and
God,
I mean,
Supernatural basically rode on his back. Holy shit.
True.
It's wild to think about because you've got fucking on the other side of him. There's just this fucking crooning fucking basically a soap opera actor. It's like it's really mean, but it's kind of what Jared Padalecki felt like. Is just he's mugging and doing all these sad faces for the camera, and then you've got Jensen Ackles who is just actually a fun and vibrant character. It's just oof.
it's 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 good. I really happy with how the season ended because there was a point in that middle where I was like, I don't know if I want to keep watching this. Like this is like a level of uncomfortable that I'm like I'll keep going because I'm already this far, but it came through in the end.
I binge watched it for the most part. I think I watched the first six and then I waited for the last two. So I kind of powered through that by benefit of seeing them all at once, but I definitely understand where you're coming from.
And aside from the boys, I also saw I was going through my backlog of things that I need to go see, and I went and I watched the entirety of a show called Pluto. Which, for those who don't know, Pluto is an animated series based off of a manga that is a very dramatic retelling of a specific arc in Astro Boy.
I just
Okay.
want it on the record before we continue with this. You said Pluto, and I was like, "Yeah," and then you said animated series, and I was like, "Wait, what? Really? Really? Really?" No, it's not about the dog. I was disappointed.
No, it is not about the dog.
Oh,
It is about the iconic antagonist known as Pluto, in a sense. Reimagined this Astro Boy arc as a crime drama where there's robots and there are people and they live in a society in which they are advanced enough that you can't even tell some robots apart from people. And you follow a detective who named Gazette, who is also a robot, and how he starts investigating that something is happening that is killing off one by one the seven strongest robots in the entire world.
Hmm. Okay.
And these robots had all fought together in a war previously, which this is a rather politically messaged show because the war is based on the U.S. and their war in Iraq and the actions and We get to see snippets and bits of the action that the robots took in that war, looking for a robot of mass destruction that may or may not have existed to begin with. The show is 8 episodes. Each one's like an hour long. And this is one of the types of shows that I watch it and I'm like, I don't think I'm gonna be the same after this.
Oh, so like hard recommend then.
This is an extremely like big recommend from me.
Hmm.
This whole thing is art. It is cinema. It is incredibly well done. And this is coming from an arc of Astro Boy that has been turned into a manga by the mangaka who created the manga known as Monster. And if you know Monster, that is another uh, thing that is often highly recommended as a psychological thriller.
I don't know if I ever actually gave that one a try, but I had heard of it.
Hmm. So Pluto, it's on Netflix. It's 8 episodes long. Um, when I finished this series, I just sat and stared at a wall,
Wow.
and I was like, "Okay, uh-huh." And like my head was in a strange space for the rest of the day,
Hmm.
That'd do it, yeah.
thinking about, you know, violence, hatred, the cycles that it creates, and what it means, and
Okay, well, maybe that isn't translating in your description of it because you basically just described Naruto, and that sounds like it's probably a disservice to the show, frankly.
yeah, that would be a disservice. Because one of the things that they establish in Pluto is that robots can't kill humans. That's a thing that can't happen. Robots can't lie, robots can't kill humans, but these robots are starting to become more and more human. And what happens when a robot learns of hatred? There's just so much good, so many messages, so many themes that are really like addressed and dug deep into, and uh highly recommend you watch Pluto. That's that I can't say anything more than that. Just please watch it. And 'cause I watched it because I was home alone for the week because parents went out on a cruise ship and they didn't enjoy their time at all.
Oh,
By the way,
oh,
it was their worst cruise that they went on. So I was just, looking after the dog, and I was like, okay, well, I have access to the big TV without anybody having to fight me for it, so I might as well just throw on some shows. So I saw Pluto. I was like, that's great. Let me see if I can watch like a game show or something. Oh, the new season of The Mole. Sure, The Mole is good. I like The Mole. It's the whole thing is just one person is sabotaging everybody's attempts to do money making challenges, and that's fun. That's a good show. I like that. And then I saw this show called The Trust. And the thrust of the trust is that
really?
there are 12 individuals all living in one manor, and there's $250,000 that they just can all split. But they can choose to vote others out of the trust. All it takes is one vote to remove somebody. It's not majority unless everybody's voting because you can choose to not vote. So if nobody votes for anybody, everybody gets a split of the money. Everybody goes home happy. It doesn't work out like that, though,
It never does. It should, but it never does.
because they start doing challenges that are deliberately designed to make people turn against each other.
Yeah.
Like, oh, hey, here's a bunch of secrets that we've taken from everybody, and we're going to let you just try to guess who has which secret. And I don't recommend The Trust. Don't watch that show. It made me despise humanity. It
Hmm.
I had a real sense of misanthropy after watching that.
Oof.
That is the point of it. So
That's
I,
usually how reality TV works. Yes.
I guess they succeeded.
They deliberately chose a bunch of very toxic personalities to all put together.
Oh yeah.
Like more so than I have seen in other reality shows. So just don't watch that. Um, Last thing that I want to talk about because I realize I've been yapping for a while, but that happens when I bring up Marvel.
Hmm.
Um, is I have invested a significant amount of time into the game called Zenless Zone Zero.
Mm.
Ah, of course you have.
I think I've talked about with Fresh and the Gotcha channel on our Discord. Um, Zenless Zone Zero is another Hoyoverse game like Genshin Impact, Honkai Star Rail, but it is a more action combat focused one.
It's a hack and slash game. I mean, played a
Yeah,
couple hours of it. It's pretty fun.
I
it's
mean,
pretty fun.
you're saying that coming off of Star Rail, not coming off of Genshin. It's very similar to Genshin.
I haven't played modern Genshin. The Genshin that I played though was felt worse from what I remember
I mean, probably
compared to
it came
Zenless.
out like 5, 6 years ago or
Yeah,
whatever.
but having the perfect dodges and switching characters just in time to parry attacks and things like that, having quick assists so that you're constantly cycling through your team of three characters to do to string together large combos is really satisfying and fun. And I really enjoy the combat. It took me a while to actually care about the story because Slicer, you played a little bit.
Hmm.
Um, what's your impression of the story so far?
It won't stop. Playing this game is like playing a Persona game. I was 3.5 hours in, and the tutorial starting story won't stop.
It is paced really badly,
Yes, it drags so badly.
and I'm like, I don't care. I want to unlock things. I want to play with the characters more. Combat ends really, really, really fast, and then it's okay. On to the next thing.
It's
More
it's
talking.
also it's also the gameplay that does that too. Like when you zone into a level, it's not you go through the intro cutscene of your character cockily walking onto stage. Like it just there's so much padding. I want to try to get into it, but it feels like anytime I try to, an hour goes by and haven't done anything.
Yeah, I have put a significant amount of time into it, and I think I've unlocked all the major things at this point, but oh, it took a while. I didn't really care about the story of the prologue or the first chapter pretty much at all. Like, and that's a lot of hours, is
Hmm.
that first chapter. Because there's so much talking, there's so much padding and wasting of your time. And then chapter two happened, and I actually cared. I got invested in that. And now I'm at a point where I have unlocked things. Now I feel in chapter three, I'm like, all right, I can do pretty much everything in the game at this point. I can do trust events where I get to hang out with characters and build like my bond points with them so that I can eventually, have their character as my pause background and stuff like that. Um, get to learn more about the character. I can do all the different side content and this and that and that and this, but it takes such a really, really long time.
That's a great place to be in. I mean, I played Blue Archive for a couple weeks, and you get to that point pretty quick, and it's great to just like there's a
Yeah,
huge cast, and you get to know all of them. It's nice.
it's great. You have the areas unlocked. You can go search them for secrets. You can go do all the various quests and pick them up. You can do the trust events, and you're like, all right, I'm in a spot where I don't need to continue to rush story. I can take it at my own pace. I'm not feeling like I'm missing out on core features and activities that I could do otherwise. It takes so long. Fun game though. Just paced really badly.
The combat is nice. The second you get into combat, it's really enjoyable. Bless you.
Thank
Bless it. I think they got combat, they got puzzles, they got other little side quests that take interesting twists on different formulas. There's an entire Pokemon themed one that is rather unique as an experience. I'm like, okay, that's fun. They're playing around with it. But I this is a really hard game to recommend.
Yeah. At least in its current form. Maybe they'll refine it up a little bit. I'm not sure.
Yeah. I found myself wanting to hit a skip cutscene button several times, and I can't. I can't skip.
I
It's
just
like I
start
know,
mashing buttons.
yeah, like I know where this is going. I know what you guys are talking about. You don't need this extra fluff. But yeah, that's about it for my week. Sorry, I went on for a while, but is how it is.
I mean, you covered one of the three things I had to talk about already, so yeah.
Do you want to keep going
Not
then?
a- Yeah, I may as well. So I too saw The Boys. I really enjoyed it. Fantastic. I actually wasn't going to watch it because the prior seasons have filled me with a sense of hopelessness and annoyance with the series and the inability to really make any major headway in like conquering the villains of the series. Uh, but this series was or this season was pretty great on that front. So that was satisfying to watch.
They introduced something in the spin-off show that is Gen V, that is a virus that can actually attack the superhero formula that's in these heroes and like actually weaken them or kill them.
Hmm. Though I don't know if it's spoiler. They keep saying it can't kill Homelander. That
He's just too
they have no
strong.
they have no proof of this. They have no proof at all that it can't kill anyone that has Gen V in their system. The powers that is one complaint I do have this season. The power scaling has never been more bullshit. Why does this character have super strength and durability even though they don't that's not part of their power set? I don't know.
Super strength and durability is a thing that all the supers have on some level, with rare exceptions.
Except it isn't. It's when the plot decides a 9 millimeter bullet can kill someone, then it happens. If somebody can tank a 50 cal sniper to the chest, even though their power is energy expelling, like I don't know, it's silly.
The thing that I have noticed is the only time that a character does not in the boys, the only time a character does not have super durability is if they have regeneration. That's the trade-off. If there's a part of them that like if a character can regenerate, then they don't get the durability most of the time. So it's a
Yeah,
weird trade-off.
I also feel like Kimiko should probably have super strength, and maybe she does
He
have
does.
above average human strength, and she just keeps fighting people that are like S tier
She
essentially.
has enhanced strength. That's how she's actually able to harm other soups.
Okay,
That's
just feels a
that's why
little.
whenever a soup comes out, she's the one that has to start beating on them because if anybody else tried it, they'd get nowhere.
I guess maybe she's just on the lower end of the strength scale then, because like,
I mean, given her backstory, she didn't exactly get like the top shelf stuff.
No, no, probably not. She knows how to fight, and that makes a lot of difference. But Starlight throwing one haymaker and pulping somebody's jaw is not quite the same as what she can do. Kimiko, I mean.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's I had a good time with it. If you're leery of this season and you've watched everything previously, I'd say give it a shot. It's worth it.
Because a lot of the season's just been setback after setback after setback.
Yeah.
And we start in that place at season 4, but by the end of it, we're like, okay, there's a path forward out of this.
Mm-hmm. That series is good at just keeping me on the very edge of that. Of like, maybe I'm done, maybe I'm not. I don't know. But
Yeah.
also been watching a lot of movies this week in the last couple weeks. Uh None that really stand out, mostly just like browsing comedy movies from the last few years and watching them. Crazy Rich Asians is fucking hilarious and it's great. Also made me realize that the Hollywood idealized romance is horrendous and should not be sought after. It's
Yeah.
just a bad time. Uh, there's a I don't know if you guys have seen it. I don't know why you would. It's called Anyone But You.
Not seen it.
Ah, so the couple, a man and woman meet and they hit it off immediately and have incredible chemistry. And then a misunderstanding happens and they part ways on the worst of terms. And then they meet back up like I think it's like 6 months later. And they
Hmm.
just are the pettiest assholes to each other. And they disconnect on every level, and that chemistry from the first like 5 minutes of the movie is just gone. And yet we're expected to root for them to get back together, even though they despise each other. And even when they do get together, they have constant misunderstandings that could be cleared up with a single talk. And that's not that's not a good thing.
Mm.
And yeah, and then I've seen a couple other romance movies, romantic comedies that like that's the dynamic that is supposed to be good. It's not great. It's bad. It's bad time.
No,
Uh
but if you're constantly fighting, but you always make up in the end, then that's a good thing, right? Relationships are about conflict. No, they're not. They inevitably have conflict. They're not about conflict.
no, that's not a good thing. That's not something you want. That's just something you sometimes have to deal with. But weirdly enough, I had the best time with the Minions movies. I rewatched a
Oh
bunch of
God.
those. They're disturbingly good. They're just a fun time. I don't know,
Okay,
like
I acknowledge like those fucking minions things. They had to have something to them, or they wouldn't be fucking globally recognized memes. I suppose.
yeah. I'm sure from a critic standpoint, the movies are horrible messes. But if you just want to sit down and watch a thing and laugh at the dumb things, then there you go. It's a fun time. And so the last couple months, I want to say, my family has had family game night every Thursday. So we
Mm.
get together and we play some Diablo together on a call. It's nice.
Mm.
Or well, not on a call, but just on like a yeah. And unfortunately, the meat of the current Diablo season is not quite as substantial as the last couple. So we've kind of burned through all of it fairly early. Uh, and so me and my brothers are now playing EDF 6 for game night
Hmm.
since my mom is busy with the garden. My family owns quite a few acres of land, so she's very busy with that. And can't play anyway, so we decided to play that as our new family game night for the next few weeks.
Hmm.
And it's going really well. EDF 6 is fantastic. Absolutely play it if you've been playing it for if you've been a fan of EDF, this is just more and better. It gets wacky. But yeah, that's about all I have going for me this week.
You mentioning romantic movies reminded me of something. because 2 weeks is a long time in my
Hmm.
brain.
Hmm.
Um, so I wasn't here last week because uh, celebrating 3 months going out with my current partner,
Oh, cool.
Hmm.
and to celebrate 3 months, we got our characters married in Final Fantasy 14.
Christ.
That's great.
You
And
fucking losers.
so I got to experience what it's like to attempt to ready a marriage in Final Fantasy 14, which is an entire process, from choosing the colors of the ceremony hall, choosing how what cutscenes are going to play, whether your character just walks in down the aisle or comes in on a freaking gondola. Um,
Oh, so this is
or
like an established part of the game then. You
Yes,
just
it
this is
set
an
all
is.
of this?
established
I
part of the
I
game.
managed to stumble onto one of the venues for marriage at one point while I was playing.
You have to do an entire quest with your partner to go around the world to pray to each of the 12 deities beforehand. You choose the music that plays, you choose this, you choose that, you get costume glamours for your, outfits and everything. And you get a lot of invites that you can send out. We sent out invites to a bunch of people. Um, the requirement was everybody has to wear blue and everybody has to wear a silly hat because we weren't taking it seriously.
Hmm.
I mean, that sounds pretty great to me.
Hmm.
So we had a wonderful time with everything, and that is a very interesting system in Final Fantasy 14. Is that there's a lot of cutscenes that like play in sequence, and by the end of it, everybody who attended a wedding gets a party favor. They get like a unique minion that's a little Moogle with a trumpet that's like celebrating.
Huh.
And
All right.
and if people have multiples of those, they start playing in the circle, like flying around.
Uh,
That's delightful.
And little party favors, and you get a two-seater ceremony chocobo. It's a white chocobo that you can ride on with your partner.
presumably with little like cans trailing behind it or something.
Decorated, but yes, you can head cannon that there's cans attached, I guess.
Mm.
And you also get the wedding ring, and the as well as you get a unique emote, which is embrace, which is a just a longer hug that you have with somebody. And the ring, the wedding ring, is a unique item that allows you to do a very special action. You can,
Fuck.
yeah, no.
I mean, let's be real. It's Final Fantasy 14. You can do that anyway. That's what Lib
There's
says for.
places for that. There's places for that. Um, if you use the wedding ring in your inventory, it teleports you to your partner's side.
That's pretty cool.
Huh.
It has a decently long cooldown, but it allows you to essentially be like, okay, I'm going to go straight over to you, wherever you are. It's a free teleport with no cost other than just like the cooldown. It's a really cool system.
Is it? I feel like I've heard people getting married in Final Fantasy. I didn't realize it was a whole production, but
Yeah,
It's
I've
it's a
heard
it's a
people
thing.
get
whole
married
production.
just so you could do the teleport thing.
Oh yeah, the teleport thing is super super handy because teleporting costs money in Final Fantasy 14,
Yes, it does.
Ah,
and and you can only teleport to set locations. Being able to teleport to a person and making them your teleportation point, that like the marriage system is the only thing that gives you that. So it's
well,
a
that's
super
pretty
cool,
handy.
super fun little ceremony.
Yeah. Well, I hope you guys had a fun time.
We did took lots of pictures and stuff. I had friends from multiple friend groups meet, which is always the like, oh
Oh,
no. Then there was a certain awkwardness of my socially anxious friends trying to interact with each other.
I can
But
imagine. Yeah.
having a shared space. But it's a system that they have put a surprising amount of stuff in for. So that was fun to get to experience for the first time in playing that game.
Hmm.
Now, I know some people who do the marriage just so that they can like get the stuff. You know, not an emotional commitment. They just want the free stuff.
I mean, yeah, fair enough. As far as abusing systems go, that's really not that bad.
Yeah. Anyway, hey Casey,
Yeah.
how
What
you
you been
doing?
up to?
Not much. Think I mentioned. I don't know how long. Yeah, it must have been very recently. I switched to Opera GX as my browser because I was getting annoyed with Chrome, and there was a whole thing with like your device is being managed by somebody else, and I'm like, what? The fuck are you talking about? My browser is being managed by who? And there was no way for me to find out that information.
Fun.
Uh so yeah, I don't use Chrome anymore. I've switched to Opera GX.
Fair
Which
enough.
you know, there was a whole thing with me getting fed up with Google also, so I decided, hey, every time Google fucks up, I end up going to Bing, and Bing immediately gives me the thing I'm looking for. So why don't I switch my default search engine to Bing? That lasted for about a couple days.
Hmm.
Yeah, on balance, Google tends to be more reliable. That said, it is worth having an alternative that you can trust that is not Google at this point. Like
Yeah,
it,
I agree.
yeah. It is a problem enough that like fucking Christ, stop micromanaging me and trying to funnel me towards buying shit. You fucking.
It is frustrating. Feels like every time I start my computer, I get that upgrade to Windows 11.
You should probably do that.
I always find it funny every single time. Like, you get a new computer, you have to switch away from Microsoft Edge, and Microsoft Edge just looks at you with pleading, wet eyes and says, "Are you sure?
Mm.
You don't want to give it a try?"
And then if you try to uninstall Edge, they treat it like you're trying to put down old Yeller, and it's like, do you really want to do that though? I mean, Edge, it's like, no, okay, no, we're not letting you do that. That's not okay. You everything will be destroyed if you get rid of Microsoft Edge. You don't understand. It's so important. Please.
So how's Opera GX?
It's all right. Yeah, so that's about top and bottom of it. It's all right. It has built-in music player that I have had awkward problems with. It integrates with different, thingy. It's just, words are bloody awful, hard. Don't understand them. Can't use them. Just haven't woken up yet. Somehow it's been like an hour. It integrates with different music players like Spotify and YouTube Music in my case, and Amazon Music and all that. It's basically any of the ones that you might actually use. And that is spotty. sometimes. It means I don't have to install a dedicated play, which is kind of nice. But some of the functions are not quite there sometimes. Like it has been because I use YouTube Music. It has that thing where it really wants to just like if you set it to play something, it really wants to start putting other stuff at the end of that playlist, whether you want it to or not. Just like, hey, you want to listen to this? Well, this stuff is like this. Have you thought of? No, I wanted to listen to the music that I picked out, and I chose to put it on repeat because this is the thing I want to listen to. No, but this other stuff, though, this other stuff is pretty cool. You should listen to this also because reasons. I don't appreciate that, and for a while I had to like queue up something to play just so I could turn that off, so I could then switch to the thing I actually wanted to listen to and not have it bolt on a bunch of crap that I don't care about to the end of my playlist.
That is kind of annoying.
That was the case for a while. It has since stopped doing that, it seems like, which I appreciate. Like, fucking Christ. It has built-in Discord, which is also nice, except when you want to, say, for example, record a podcast, and now your browser needs access to your microphone if that is not already the case. And I didn't really want to do that. I just wanted Discord to have access to my microphone, if that's okay. So, put that aside. But for the most part, the Discord integration works perfectly fine. I'm perfectly happy with it. Yeah, it's all pretty solid. I like it quite a bit. It's a good time. It also has functions for like RAM restrictions. So if, say, for example, you're playing a video game, then it will restrict how much RAM your browser is allowed to use. If, for example, you were the type of person that decides, yeah, I know I am using a very resource-intensive program, and I should probably close my browser with its 15 tabs. I'm not gonna, but I probably should. If you're that type of person, like me, then it's a pretty useful feature.
I haven't found it makes any kind of difference since I got this computer. I'm sure it will eventually, but my 5 windows of 40 tabs each of Google Chrome has somehow managed to not cripple me. Look, shut up. It's all organized now. Instead of having 400 tabs open in one window, I've expanded it to multiple windows.
I don't think that makes it... You've heard of bookmarks, right?
No. Well,
no?
Yes. But
okay.
I have, obviously, but that becomes its own problem.
Like,
it's easier just to keep it open.
Is it, though? Like,
Yes.
How often are you hitting all of those tabs?
Well, anytime I want to watch a movie, I go over to all the movies that I have picked out for future viewing. Anytime I want to browse YouTube, I go to the YouTube section. There's sections. It's like bookmark folders, except it's more organized.
Except they're all running... You hurt my brain. Okay, we're just gonna slide past that. All right. Still been playing Kingdom Hearts because that game is still fun.
Fair enough.
I gave up on Chain of Memories because fuck Chain of Memories.
Yeah, it's not great.
Played most of 2. I have almost finished 2. I'm just doing the cleanup of like, hey, synthesize all the cool shit and do all the mini games and get all the good scores on them and do the gummy ship stuff and the secret bonus area. I've gotten to the last sequence of getting through that, but I forgot how bullshit that area is, of just like right at the end where everything can kill you in one hit. because it's the thing where you're supposed to literally do it as the last thing in the game almost. Like I think only Lingering Well comes after that, which is the super secret boss fight. Yeah, so I've got all that to do, and then I'm done with it, and I have the choice of whether I want to go to Birth by Sleep or maybe actually finish Dream Drop Distance at some point. That would probably be a good idea to finish that game, I suppose, even though it sucks.
Well, which one do you want to do the least?
Chain of Memories.
So, can't. I mean, that's already gone unless you're going to go back to it.
I remember enjoying Dream Drop Distance.
Flow motion was not as well implemented as in 3, obviously, because it came out first. That makes sense. And the fucking drop mechanic was the worst. Like, hey, we're going to decide to interrupt everything you're doing every 5 minutes.
That's the biggest complaint, right? The fact that like they keep forcing you to switch like that.
And the counter argument is always, oh well, you can get items that'll stop doing it. Why should I have to? Why do I need to find a solution to the game designer deciding to interrupt me playing the fucking video game every 5 minutes?
For those who don't know, Dream Drop Distance has a bit of a timer that will switch your characters that you're playing as between Sora and Riku. And that is because you're playing as both of them, they decide, you know what? All right, we're going to switch you over to this storyline. And I'm back to this storyline. And it is.
You have a meter that ticks down for playing as one character.
Yes.
It takes a few minutes to tick down from full. And then you switch whether you like it or not. You can buy items, like you have to expend your resources to get items to continue just playing the fucking video game as you were doing and not lose your place every 5 minutes.
Oh, it's not a you can build the skill as you level up kind of deal. It's just
I forget,
items.
maybe. I don't know.
Hmm.
But yeah, every few minutes the game will decide, hey, whatever you're doing, let's do something else. Because we've decided that you should be doing something else. For no reason. For literally no reason. There was no reason for that to be a gameplay mechanic. It added nothing. It added nothing.
Yeah. Yep. I agree.
Anyway, that
early
familiar
flow
rant that
motion
people
was
might
fun for
remember
me,
from
though.
a few years ago. Over.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So the Code Geass gotcha is ending. That's a shame. Did not last a year. That is not.
Yeah.
Surprised.
It's fairly rare for gotcha that's like that come out like that for a series that really isn't getting a lot of new stuff.
I mean, Code Geass is. It got a new show recently.
Yeah. That's the thing though, right? Is that it is getting new stuff. But it's just not enough to keep the thing going, I guess.
I'm going to be honest. In this case, it's just mismanagement. It just is.
Really?
Because the JP version doing perfectly well. It's not spectacular to my understanding, but it's doing pretty well.
Yeah.
The English version was done by a company that has a reputation for gacha that appear and then don't last very long.
Yeah, I was thinking about it was one of those like idle gotcha that like came out then died immediately, then came out again, then kept dying. Like there's lots of gotchas like that.
And it wasn't particularly well handled in terms of functionality. Like, Glitches were pretty regular. There were entire swaths of stuff that was just not translated or handled poorly. Like the protagonist's parents were Shirley's dad and Callan's mum at one point in one important scene.
What?
I don't quite know how that happened, but that was a thing that happened. You finally get a flashback to their parents, and it's listed as those characters instead. It was fucking weird, and yeah,
So this was a long time coming.
kinda, yeah. Uh, it's a shame because the game was actually pretty good. Um, uh, it was it was basically an Arknights like, but it was a bit more tactically involved. Um,
Yeah.
So I was having a good time with it. I kept up with it. It is going away in about a month or so. It's a shame.
Cool.
Well.
Oh well.
So
What
it
you
looks
gonna
like
do?
I am looking for a replacement. Gotcha. Is how that works. Well, this one's gone. Time to find another way to waste my money and time. Um, Conveniently, I saw a reveal and gameplay trailer for a game that is coming out some point. I'm not entirely sure. I think it's getting more information on what exactly is happening with it in September, and that is called Neverness to Everness, which is a little awkward as a title, but whatever. It
Never ever.
is it is from the Tower of Fantasy people,
Ah.
Okay.
and I'm going to say it is kind of a Persona 5 vibe, sort of. Like, it is a modern day setting in, like, city environment. You have this sort of pseudo alternate world that the characters will get sort of sucked into on occasion when they find, like, I forget what the term was for it, but there is like this sort of rift that takes people to another world, and monsters can come out of it to come into the real world. And it looks pretty damn good. Like, graphically speaking, it's not quite cyberpunk, but it's closing on that, which is weird because I assume the mobile version, which is obviously going to happen, is going to be dramatically scaled back compared to what they showed in the gameplay trailer. Because wow. And it's sort of just like full city gameplay. So you have vehicles, you have housing, you have all that sort of stuff, and the combat looked pretty decent. Not spectacular, but sort of in the Genshin and etc. vein of that sort of combat style. It looked pretty good, honestly. And I will be keeping an eye on it, and hopefully it comes out and it's good. So.
Yeah, I'm looking at gameplay right now. It looks very bright and colorful and walking around a modern city.
Didn't see any loading screens to my memory. Like, it went like, you call a car, you get your car, get in, drive around, drive to your home, and get in the elevator. There's an elevator ride with an open window so you can see the entire cityscape. Go into your apartment, which again you can see the entire cityscape. You can jump off the balcony and you are just in the city. There is no loading screens.
Well, that's pretty cool.
Okay.
So, yeah. It looks pretty cool. I am, somewhat optimistic about this one, and I hope it's good.
I don't know much about Tower of Fantasy because that's the other game that they put out.
Yes. It did not come out in a great state, and then supposedly it did a lot of interesting things afterwards, which honestly, that sounds like the ideal scenario for me. Of like, hey, I didn't play the shit one, and I didn't have to wait for them to get better at making the game. And that now they're making their next game, which is just presumably going to start as a better game.
Definitely hope
From
so.
from my understanding, because I decided to look into it while you were talking, um, they were forced to rush the game out because I guess China game dev licenses were kind of messed up. So like they had
Which
to either
one?
count for Tower Fantasy.
Oh, right, okay.
So they had to rush Tower Fantasy out because they get certificates for game development. And the at the time the agency that gives out the certificates was not issuing extensions, so they either had to release what they had by that end date or canceled entirely.
Hmm.
So they could not put more time on the clock, and as a result, it came out in a rushed, broken state.
Hmm.
So seeing people talk positively about Tower Fantasy right now, um, perhaps the this Neverness to Everness will be pretty decent on launch.
I'm hoping so. Yeah. Like I say, I am somewhat optimistic about it and hope it comes out good. If it doesn't, that'll be a shame. I am not that invested, but what I have seen is promising.
Hmm.
Yeah.
All right.
I don't think I have much else, honestly. Yeah, just a lot of working and trying to get commissions done and stuff and catching up as I constantly fucking am. But, that's how that goes. Yeah. So,
Hmm. That's
uh,
fair.
it's still July, which means we don't do the thing.
Yeah, we don't do the thing. We did it at the start of the month.
Okay, cool.
Um, if I can just say one last thing, because I remembered it.
Shoot.
So
It happens.
Sorry.
what my D&D game yesterday, I had something that I planned with a player character for a while finally came to fruition. So to put this into context, um, the player that I was talking to, their character um, is a necromancer. They have an avid fascination with life and death and working in elements of shadow with their power set. And on top of being a necromancer, has been getting a bit of a big head lately, bit of some hubris, right? So they were like, well, you know what? I can create life. Let's create life, says the necromancer girl. Talks to people and say, hey, that's not something that you really want to do. It's very different from like just animating skeletons. This is taboo territory. It always ends poorly. And the character is just like, ah, no, I know better. I know better. It's fine. Don't worry about it. And she got Full Metal Alchemist happening down in the
Ah,
basement.
Okay. Um. See, I. I mean, technically, she's not wrong because you dropped Necromancer Girl in there, and like, yes, you can indeed create life. There is a much easier way to do it, though.
He was trying to create specifically a soul.
Also, still a thing that doesn't really change what I'm saying here. That is
Hmm.
also a thing you can do.
No. Um, not in the not in the world that she was in the world in the setting in which that works out. The way that necromancers work in my setting is that when they animate a skeleton or create an undead, that's them just essentially putting in part of themselves into that, right? It's an extension of themselves.
I don't think you were
Um,
picking up what I was putting down there.
yeah.
It's just, baby,
sex.
sex,
Oh,
creating life.
yeah.
That's still a life that has a soul. You can. It's way easier, more fun too. Well, for the first bit's fun. The rest of it is very much not. But still, like it's a process.
Yes, yes, that would work. Yes, but she decided that she wanted to, oh well, let's work on playing God here, and it did cost an arm and a leg, but she did manage to make a horrifying shadow abomination.
Okay, you said Full Metal Alchemist. Was that like the literal or
She made a monster. It cost her an arm and a leg because, as I mentioned, undead draw on the user's inherent energy. They kind of put a little bit of themselves into a skeleton so they can just move around and follow orders. Um, this thing just kept drawing out that energy, that magic, more and more and more until it started to like literally eat parts of her away until she was Full Metal Alchemisting, yeah, lost an arm and a leg, and tried to escape. And the rest of the party, who was sleeping at the time because she's doing this at night in the party's basement, right? Because they all
All
have a
right.
house
Yeah.
together. They wake up, they run down there, they open up the door to see this monster finish her off, and then vanish into the night. And so, what happened is that she essentially split her soul in two because now she has an amoral shadow monster that's now let loose in the town, and the other half of her got sent to the afterlife in like a half complete state, and it's really exciting.
I mean, there's still ways in that kind of system. You can get real fucked up with it.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Though I'm curious to see where that goes.
Because the thing is, right? They're like, okay, well, we can just bring her back to. There's a guild of necromancers in this town because because of the setting. We could just have her get resurrected with magic. But the thing is, I'm gonna make it so that, and this is again, I've been communicating with the player behind the scenes. This is all like planned out of them suffering for their hubris, right?
Hmm.
For character development long term, is the resurrection magic is not going to work because
That makes
technically
sense.
she's still alive. Just half of her is
Hmm.
in the monster that she made. So they're gonna have to find a way to put Humpty Dumpty back together again. And it was I had everybody on the edge of their seats during that like really like tense scene. It felt really good.
I maintain probably an easier way to do that.
Oh yeah, there is. It's almost like you're warned, hey, don't do a certain thing. There's like this is the worst way to do the thing. I'm gonna do the thing.
Yeah, but I'm gonna do it though.
I'm better than you. I'm built different.
Now
So
they're built in two parts.
yeah,
Okay.
it was a lot of fun. But yeah, that's all I really wanted to talk about. Because
So
it's really fun to work out with players and build stories and write stories together.
Hmm.
So
this is
thank
a
you
podcast.
all for listening.
Yeah. Discord, Patreon, links in the description.
Bye
Catch you guys
bye.
later.
Bye. Wow, all my energy just fucking died at the end. It's fucking...
Crashed hard, quickly.
Deflating.